So yes, there are many thousands of young carers out there, we think, that aren't recognised or accessing any support that they are entitled to.
It seems strange in 2020 we're still at a point where we don't have official figures of young carers. That must be incredibly frustrating for people like yourself who want to help as many people as possible.
That's right. We don't really have a grasp, I don't think, on the correct number of young carers that are out there. There are a number of estimates and different figures. So the last national census in 2011 outlined, I think, 166,000 young carers approximately across England. But we really think this is the tip of the iceberg, because it's very reliant on people completing those forms and highlighting that there is a young carer in the family, if they even know that or recognise that themselves. But it really puts an onus on families to be kind of completing those forms so we can get those figures. But there are other estimates out there from BBC and academic bodies around that highlight 800,000 young carers as being the larger estimate, which we think is probably closer to the correct number, but there isn't a definitive statistic out there, so we don't really know how many young carers are out there.
Or indeed where they are, so local authorities potentially can't either budget for them or take action to go and support them. You've come up with the idea that potentially you could include a child's young carer status in a school census. That would mean that information would be passed from primary school through to secondary school, college, and then potentially even university, so that all throughout that education period, schools would know, they would understand what that child was going through, but also local authorities could also see the children that might require additional support now or in the future.
Yes, exactly. I think there's a number of ways that we could be gathering that data, and ourselves at the Children's Society and our partners at Carers Trust have been kind of advocating for this for a number of years, even pre-COVID, so it'd be good to see that we can get something in place. But yes, those methods of within the school census, it doesn't currently include the young carer as a grouping, as a cohort that the data is gathered from of young people attending school. So we think it would be important to get young carers included within the census, because that can also enable those schools to be aware of those pupils in their school who are young carers and may need additional support. And additionally, we think that within local authorities, there should be improved monitoring of young carers and their families, which currently isn't in place. So, but young carers have rights for the local authority to carry out an assessment of their needs, for example, and also an assessment of the person that they care for, so be it a parent or a sibling, whoever it is. But at the moment, those kind of identification and assessment data isn't being gathered. So also there's accountability, really, that support should be provided for families, but without that kind of data gathering and evidence, there's no way of knowing whether those responsibilities and rights are all being carried out. So yeah, through the school census and also through improved monitoring through the local authority, we think would be a much better way of gathering that data of how many young carers there are and where they are.